We're starting a new chapter now, and I'm basically calling this chapter Creating Output. Now, in the previous chapter, we covered setting up things ready to plot and communicate our design intent and create output that way. I just want to take it to another level with the creating output here, because obviously there's ways and means of creating different types of output. So we've got a new drawing for you. It's called GF1031 Southeast Madison _ Rev1.dwg. You can kind of think that, oh, this might be the next revision of that drawing I was working on in the previous chapter, for example. Now, obviously, it looks slightly different. The viewport's different in the Layout tab there. And if we go to the Model tab, you can see everything's set up in a very similar fashion. There's a few extra dimensions here and there. Now, the ISO A1 Landscape Layout tab is all set up with the viewport ready to go. There's our viewport, and that's at a scale of 1 to 100. Our title block is all in place and we're ready to go. Now, we may need to duplicate layouts and change them accordingly so that we've got more than one layout available in our drawing. Now, you'll notice we've got the ISO A1 Landscape Layout tab. The Layout 2 there is just a default layout that you get when you start a new drawing. I'm going to right click on Layout 2 and I'm going to delete it on the shortcut menu. Click on Delete, you'll get prompted there, click on OK, and that disappears. So all we've got now is the ISO A1 Landscape Layout tab. Now we may need to duplicate that and add some different viewports to it. So I'm going to right click on it and we're going to go up to Move or Copy, like so. And that will bring up the Move or Copy dialog. We want to move it to the end and obviously check the Create Copy box as well because we want to copy on it. Click on OK, and we've now got ISO A1 Landscape 2. As you can see, exactly the same. I'm going to right click on it and just rename it, and just for argument's sake, I'm going to call it Ground. It is exactly the same. I'm not going to make any changes, but obviously you can duplicate these layout tabs to your heart's content, obviously, as you need them when you're working in the G files. So we've now got ISO A1 Landscape, that looks like that, Ground Floor, that looks like that. Now, obviously, like I said, they are the same, but you get the idea. You can generate more layouts as and when you need them. Now, here's something really clever. Did you know that you can plot from the Model tab? Let's jump into the Model tab. Let's say that I just need a really quick view of this conference room here, top right. I'm going to zoom in on it, like so. There we go. So there's our conference room. I need to just get a layout of that conference room onto a small sheet quickly, print it off on the small printer at my desk, and just take it with me to a site meeting that's been called quickly because there's an emergency about the finishes on the walls or the windows haven't been fitted properly or something similar. How do I do that? How do I plot from the Model tab? Well, did you know you can just right click on the Model tab and go to Plot, and the Plot dialog box opens from the Model tab. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to change my printer plotter. This is going to be a one-off, by the way. I wouldn't save a page for this. This is just a one-off print that I need to get sort of printed off and taken with me quickly. So I'm going to go for a high-quality AutoCAD PDF. On the sheet size here, I'm going to go for something like an ISO A4. So there's all the American sizes. Keep scrolling down. I'm going to go for a standard ISO A4, and I'm going to go for 210 by 297. So it's in portrait orientation. What to plot? I'm going to set it to extents and center the plot like so. This time it will be a fit to paper option on the plot scale. I'm not plotting this to scale, I'm just picking a view from the monitor to place on the sheet size. Plot style table, I'll just use my program. Assign this plot style table to all layouts, say no to that because it could affect your layout tabs. Now, what to plot? I've got it set to extents at the moment. I don't want extents, I need to pick an area, so I select window. And now I can just do a little window, click, drag, click. There's my window there. Can you see there? It's on the sheet like so, fit to paper. I've centered it on the sheet. What I'm going to do now is a quick preview. And there's my A4 sheet. Now, you'll notice the orientation doesn't look quite right. I picked a portrait sheet orientation. Let's just right click there and exit from it. And we need to check there. Look, it's the wrong way around. go to Portrait, and now click on Preview. And there you go. I can take that with me now. It's an A4 sheet, it's a nice small sheet size. Print it off from my printer on my desk, take it with me to the site meeting. I can then sketch out and make notes on that if I need to. Now, some might say that's very old school, printing off a sheet of paper to take it out on site with you to quickly draft notes. There are a lot of us out there that still use paper for printing, for plotting. And sometimes it's the quickest and easiest medium to make notes. I've been called out to a quick emergency meeting on site about this particular room. Now, I could utilise AutoCAD on the web or AutoCAD mobile to check out the drawing as well. We're going to cover that later on in the course, but sometimes it's just really quick and easy to print off that one sheet of paper, take it with you, make notes on it, and bring it back into the office. So this is the way to do it from the model tab, like so. So I'll just right click there, exit the preview, and I'll just cancel the plot for the moment. But that's how you can just quickly and easily print something off, take it with you to a meeting. It's very useful knowing that you can plot from the model tab. We're staying in our GF 1031 Southeast Madison Rev1.dwg file. And we're going to take a little look now at creating a different type of output. We're going to create what is called an e-transmittal using the e-transmit command available in AutoCAD. Now what you do with an e-transmittal is you set it all up and send it to somebody, normally as an attachment via email. Now the e-transmit command normally requires you to save the drawing first. So type e-transmit, like so, and you'll notice that the drawing hasn't been saved. In later versions of AutoCAD, you couldn't go any further. You had to save the drawing before you committed to the e-transmit. Now, in later versions of AutoCAD, it says, do you want to save the current drawing before continuing? Say no, and it will still allow you to create a transmittal. Now, the transmittal will kick in with the files tree. You've also got the files table. I personally prefer the files tree, that one. As you can see, the DWG file is added, and if I just expand this out, you can see that various bits have been added as well. So you can see that the grayscale CTB, the colour table for plotting, has been applied to the drawing, and you can see there that the print PC3 file has also been applied, the print configuration file, and that's using the AutoCAD PDF high quality print PC3. Now the good thing is, I don't just have to include these files, I can add other files. I click there, and I can go and find any file I want to add. It could be a Word document, it could be an Excel spreadsheet, it doesn't matter. You can add it all to the transmittal. We've got the one standard transmittal setup available in AutoCAD normally by default. I'm just going to click on the transmittal setups button here and just bring this dialog box up here. I'll click on modify just to show you what a transmittal setup does. So you can see here that we've got a transmittal setup where we can go in and set up all of the settings ready to send this out as a transmittal. Now the package type is important. If you click on the flyout there, you can send it out as a folder, which you normally use for an internal transmittal, let's say on the server or using the cloud. If you're sending it externally, send it as a zip file, that one there. Now, what you'll find is a lot of people now, their antivirus software will be very, very cautious about a zip file. So the trick is there, send a pre-transmittal email, just saying, oh, I'm going to be sending you an e-transmit from AutoCAD, it will be a zip file, so just be aware it's there and check your spam folders for it, for example. Because zips now are notorious for delivering things that they shouldn't. So always let people know that you're sending a zip file in. File format, we can keep the existing file format or change the DWG file format if you want to. Transmittal file folder, that's where it will send the zip file ready for you to go and find it and obviously add it to an email. And we can prompt for a file name. There you go, that's what our zip file will look like there. It will prompt for a file name, but that's the file name it will go for at the moment. I can change that when it prompts for the file name. Path options, I can use an organized folder structure, so it's got the same folder structure that I'm using. I can put all the files in one folder or keep the files and folders as they are. Now we've got some actions as well. We can send an email with the transmittal. So as soon as it's done and zipped, it'll automatically open up your email client and attach it for you. You can set the default plotter to none. If they haven't got your plotter where you're sending the transmittal, don't worry. Just tick that box, set default plotter to none. If you've got any external reference files, XREFs, you can bind or insert them, and you can also purge the drawings before they go out to get rid of any extraneous information such as layers that aren't being used, blocks that aren't being used, that kind of idea. We've also got include options where we've got fonts, textures, files from data links, web files, and any unloaded file references. We can even give the transmittal setup a text description at the bottom. I'm just going to OK that and leave our standard transmittal setup in place and close. Obviously you can create different transmittal setups for different projects. You might have different criteria and specification for transmittals on different projects, so you might need to set up different setups for that reason. Once you've got it all in place though, you select the setup you're going to use and you just click on OK. And what it'll do now when I click on OK is it will say, where do you want to save that? So you'll notice there I do actually have a Rev 1 complete standard there ready. So I could call it Rev 1 complete. I'm just going to call it Rev1 standard.zip, as you can see there. Click on save and off it goes. It packages all of that into that zip file. It's that quick and easy. And all of that information can then be sent as a zip attachment to whichever stakeholders you need to send it to via email. We're staying in our GF-1031 Southeast Madison Rev1.dwg file. And we're going to take a little look now at batch plotting in AutoCAD. When you've got more than one layout tab, you can batch plot all of the layout tabs in one go. Now, the best way to access your batch plot or publish command is on the output tab here on the ribbon. There's batch plot there. If I hover over it, you can see it says publish, and you can batch plot to different file types. Now those different file types are incredibly useful and you can batch plot to them at any time. Notice as well you've got export to DWF and PDF here on this panel, which means you can override your regular plot settings to plot to different file types as well if you need to. I suggest you have a little go and explore this panel at a later date after you've been through this particular course. It's useful because you can quickly plot a layout and override your existing page setup settings. That's what this is all about here, exporting to different file types. Let's get back to publish. Now, what you need to do is make sure that the drawing is saved before you publish. Otherwise, it may cause issues later. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump into our save here. Now, normally I would just click on save and not think about it, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to save this to the next revision. So I'll do a save as, and let's save this to revision 2, for example. Let's say we've made some changes and I'm saving it to revision 2. I'll just click on save again, and you'll see there that when I click on save again, it just gives me the file name at the top of the screen rather than the big long file path there at the title bar. So now we know the drawing is saved and we want to batch plot it or publish it as the command calls it. So I click on batch plot. This will open up the publish dialog box. Now it's pretty big and there's a lot of stuff going on. If it opens up like this, click on show details because this little bit at the bottom is quite important. Now, sheet list. We don't have a sheet list yet because we haven't set up any settings. A sheet list is saved in what they call a DSD file, a drawing set description file. I'll explain that in a moment. Now, we're going to publish to PDF, or we can publish to the plotter named in the page setup. So we can override here as well to different file types. I'm going to go to plotter named in page setup because we've already got a page setup set up for this particular DWG file. Now, down here, you can see that it will automatically load all open drawings. Now, we've only got the one drawing open, so that doesn't matter too much. But if I have more than one drawing open up here, with more than one file tab, it would add everything in this list, in this sheet list. Now I don't want to plot my model tab, so I select it and I can click on this little minus sign here. That removes that particular sheet. Looking at the names of the files as well, we can change the sheet names in a minute. Now the files themselves don't get changed, this is just sheet names in a list. So what I can do is I can select this one and right click, and what we're going to do there is we're going to rename the sheet. We don't need the actual drawing. So I'm going to click here, delete all of that and just call it 001 like that, enter. And then I'm going to come to here, right click again, rename sheet. We've got ground floor there, let's do that and let's call that 002. And what we'd probably do with different layout tabs, we'd probably add different numbers, different names, etc. The page setups have a green tick and no errors because we've already tested our page setup. We know it all works, we've done some plot previews, etc. You can also see the location where it's publishing this particular set of drawings. So you'll notice there, because I'm using a setup in my page setup, all of the file type and naming is greyed out. If I override it to say PDF like that and go for a PDF high quality print, notice I can edit my publish options if I want to. Now the publish options, if I go to my page setup, my plotter named in page setup, are preset in the page setup, so I don't need to worry about it. Down here at the bottom, selected sheet details, I can look at the actual sheet itself or look at the sheet details as well, the location, the layout name, etc. I'm publishing one copy. Precision I'm not going to worry about because that's all preset up here in the plotter named in the page setup. I will include a plot stamp though, and I will publish in the background. Publish in the background, I always tick that box, and I could potentially open it up in the viewer window. If I've got Adobe Acrobat, I'm plotting to PDF, it will automatically open it up in Adobe Acrobat for me if I'm wanting to. Plot stamp settings are here. Click on the plot stamp settings button, it takes you to the plot stamp dialog box. So we've got drawing name, date and time, device name. I can add user-defined fields on my plot stamp as well. Make sure that you've got the appropriate plot stamp parameter values, 2 of them. Load, and you've got inches or millimetres. If you're working in metric, as I am, it will be millimetres. If I'm working in imperial units, I'd set it to inches. Click on open, and that applies that plot stamp parameter file just there. I'm going to click on advanced, and the advanced options are that I'm taking it from bottom left and I want it to be vertical, and I'm going to do a little offset there of say 10 millimetres each way from the X and Y offset in the bottom left corner of the sheet. Offset relative to printable area, I'm going to go with paper border. I don't need to create a log file, so I'll untick it. I'll change this to something like Calibri and make it 2.5 millimetres high. In fact, let's take that to 1.5. It doesn't need to be really big on the sheet. And we can have a single line plot stamp if we want to. Units and millimetres we preset in the previous screen. Click on OK, click on OK. Now once you've got all those settings set up, this is where you save up here. You save your sheet list, and you'll notice there that I've got a class file there, that I've got a metal plate file there. So I can save this anywhere I want it to. So can you see there? I'm saving this to my essential class files. So I could potentially save it there. I could save it anywhere I want to. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to save it onto my desktop for now. So I've got lots of bits and pieces there. I'll save my DSD file on my desktop. Notice we now have a sheet list. Now that DSD file might go into a project folder. I'll just put it onto my desktop at the moment. But what that means is that it's always there, set up to what I've just set up. So the benefit you've got here is if you've got to publish a load of drawings on a Friday afternoon, you save the sheet setup in your publish dialog to that DSD file. And then come each Friday, go and open up the DSD file for this particular drawing, and all of those sheets pop up with the settings that you've preset.